Welcome everyone to Musical, Vocal, Inspirational. Yes, we can with Candice. Continuing on our reading with famous composers Ludwig van Beethoven. Every year, though there was a private concert at home on his mother's birthday, perhaps this was the only time or the one time in the year when the Beethoven children really enjoyed themselves. They made a big canopy in the living room where their grandfather's picture hung. Then they decorated it with leaves and flowers until the room looked like a flower shop. When everything was ready, one of the children went to call their mother. She put on her smartest dress and came and sat in place of honor under the canopy. Then Mr. Beethoven and the children played the music they had been practicing for her. They played so well that all the neighbors came to listen too. When the music was finished, there was a wonderful feast. And when that was over, everyone danced. By now, it was very late at night, so they took off their shoes and danced in their stockinged feet to make less noise. Ludwig was such a good player that his father decided he needed a first-class teacher. Although Mr. Beethoven could teach the piano quite well, he was really a singer, not a pianist. But good teachers asked for high fees, so Mr. Beethoven found a cheaper way. He persuaded a pianist called Pfeiffer to come and live with the family and teach Ludwig in return for his room and his food. Pfeiffer was a good musician, but a very odd man. He liked to sleep by day and teach Ludwig by night. Often he spent the evening drinking beer with Ludwig's father and came back to give a lesson at midnight. Poor Ludwig hated being woken. His father used to pull him out of bed and roughly dry his tears with his sleeve. For the first part of the lesson, Ludwig was often too sleepy to know what he was doing. By this time, Ludwig was going to school. But after he had been up half the night, he had little energy left for his ordinary lessons. He never learned much, and at the age of 11, he stopped going to school altogether. All this time was given to music. When he was older, Ludwig was very sorry that he had never learned to write and count properly. The boys in his class found him difficult to talk to. He was shy because he was always thinking about music. If they asked him a question, he had to drive the tunes out of his head before he could think of an answer. In spite of this, they felt sorry for him. They thought his mother must have died because no one seemed to look after him properly. Actually, his mother did her best for her children, but she was ill and more often. And there was no money to buy new clothes for Ludwig when the old ones were worn out. When Ludwig was 11, he thought it was time he learned the organ. He made friends with the organist of one of the biggest churches in Bonn, who agreed to teach him and let him practice on his organ. Soon the organist began to take a real interest in him and asked if he could come to the Beethoven's house to hear him play the piano. But Ludwig never liked this. He always preferred to practice and play when no one else was listening. Because he was so shy and awkward, he found it hard to be friendly. In fact, he might never have made any friends but for a lucky chance. A boy called Franz used to visit a friend who lived next door to the Beethovens. While they were talking together, Franz and his friend watched what went on in the next house. They enjoyed listening while Ludwig played, like all the Beethoven's neighbors. But soon they realized what terribly long hours he had to practice. They never saw him come out to enjoy himself. And if he stopped playing, they could hear his father shouting at him. Franz decided to help Ludwig. Although it was not easy, he got to know him, and slowly they became great friends. Ludwig's shyness was overcome at last. And here we stop a while on the boyhood life of Ludwig van Beethoven, musical composer, a legend. Now we're in the Easter season, the season of Lent, and there are some Easter songs that are very relevant to this time. The one that will be done is The Blood. The blood that Jesus shed for me way back on Calvary. The blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose its power, for it reaches to the highest mountain, and it flows to the lowest valley. Oh, the blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose its power. It soothes my doubt and calms my fears, and it dries all my tears. The blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose its power. Oh, for it reaches to the highest mountain, and it flows to the lowest valley. Oh, the blood that gives me strength from day to day. It will never lose. It will never lose it will never lose its power. Amen. The blood that never loses its power. And another of Easter songs that we know so well, I come to the garden alone. I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me be falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Amen. Now we are at the end of musical, vocal, inspirational. Yes, we can with Candice.